We'll start with the prayers. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahaihi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are doing the Panchadasi text and chapter 5, Mahavakya Viveka Prakaranam, consisting of 8 verses. And this is a very important portion in all the Upanishads where the oneness between the Jivatma and Paramatma is indicated. That is the essence of Mahavakya. We have seen 6 verses. We are on to the 7th verse. There are 2 more verses today, which we will finish. The 7th verse, which we started last week, deals with Mandukya Upanishad. I am Atma Brahma. So this is the very important Mahavakyam. This Atma in me is Brahman. That is what is indicated in this 7th verse. We have covered this slide before. We have covered this slide also. And we were looking at this slide 112. In Mandukya Upanishad, the most important thing we should remember is we are negating ahankara. See, this is all a knowledge of Atma. There is something which I don't know, which is invisible, and it exists. How do I come to realize that Atma is the question? Each Upanishad has a different style of presenting this Atma. We have already seen Chandogya Upanishad, where we saw Sat existence being highlighted. We saw Aitareya Upanishad, where consciousness, prajnanam, was highlighted. In Vedantic Upanishad, realizing Aham Brahmasmi, the I in me is Brahman. This is the 3 different ways we have seen before. In Mandukya Upanishad, it's a very, very beautiful Upanishad. We negate 3 worlds. The waking world, the dream world, and the sleep world. And then what do? We arrive at a self-evident Atma. You see, this sentence which is there in the block form is the most important sentence in the entire Mandukya Upanishad. And many a times students fail to recognize this. See, when we ask the question, who am I? We are missing one point. That what we are missing is Atma. I am a waker, everybody knows. Nobody needs to be taught that he is a waker. The whole world is 99.9% of the people think that they have the knowledge of them being a waker alone. Of course, the dreamer and the sleeper is taken as a side effect of waking. But the primary is we all think that our waking world is the most important for us, and this is what we feel is the truth. What Mandukya says is that waking, dream, and sleep are of a lower order of reality, And there is a higher order of reality which is called as Brahman, which is called as Atma. The higher order of reality is realized when you negate or falsify as mithya. That means waker is mithya, dreamer is mithya, sleeper is mithya. Mithya means what? We negate the reality of these three states. Vedanta does not negate the experience of the three states. Very important point. Vedanta does not negate the experience of the three states. The three states are coming and going as per the prarabdha karma of the body. The body has taken birth, the physical body. Inside the physical body, there is a sukshma sharira, which is the mind. That sukshma sharira has got a cause, which is punya bhava. So this body which you and I, we all have, which we experience in the waking state, is nothing but a product of karma phalam. You must understand the whole, the way Mandukya is designed is very, very beautiful. So what Mandukya Upanishad says is that you negate this experience of waking, negate the experience of dream, negate the experience of sleep. And then ask the question, who are you? There is a continuous I which does not change. That I is Atma. If I can know that Atma and be that Atma throughout my life, then that is what is called as Jivan Mukti. Sri Ramana Gita has this verse in it, where it says, in the center of the heart cave is consciousness. The light of consciousness is shining. And all the time, it is expressing as I. For all of us, for me, for you, everybody, in the mind, in the intellect, there is a consciousness which is shining. Now we have to enter that level of depth to realize our real nature. That means we have to go beyond the mind and say, I am the consciousness behind the mind. Of course, Ramana Maharishi says that by control of the movement of breath, that means by pranayama, one can abide in the self. See, different masters have realized different things in their life. Ramana Maharishi was a great yogi. He could control his breath very well. And hence, through his experience, he is writing this. How Brahman shines in the intellect? It shines as aham, 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 aparokshat. Aparokshat means it is me, myself. That Brahman which the Upanishad reveals is nothing but me, myself. And that I is known without any medium. See, I'm trying to explain to you the way the Upanishads try to reveal what our sense organs cannot reveal. But when you follow these sentences of the Upanishads and the analysis, you will also realize that pure Atma. The outside sun, external sun, suppose I close my eyes, the sun doesn't come into my visibility because the sun is seen by the eyes. But when I close my eyes, what happens? I see the self. This is what happens to us in meditation. Every Wednesday we do meditation. At the end of our meditation, what happens to us? We see our own real nature. The whole purpose of meditation is owning up aham brahmasmi. That is what is called as Vedantic meditation. The self is self-effulgent, which means you don't require a light, you don't require a sense organ, you don't require a mind to illumine the self. There is nothing like the self in the world because it is the core essence of all of us and it is only one. And it is Swayam Prakasham. Vedantic Upanishad has got a very important chapter, chapter number 4, which is Swayam Prakasha Jyoti. Swayam Jyoti Brahmana. Very important chapter, which tells us that it is a pramanam to say that this Atma is self-illumined. You don't have to do anything about it. You will get to the depth of your own personality and then it will reveal yourself. It will reveal to you exactly what that self is, which the Upanishads are telling us. Kathopanishad very simply says that we are not able to hear the Atma, we are not able to see the Atma, but we are able to know this Atma from the Upanishads. And it says, Ascharyavat, Ascharyo Vakta Kushalosya Labdha. It is a wonder that a teacher can teach this. And it is a greater wonder that a student can also understand this. See, it is such a topic which is not easy. What is the indication of this verse? It only means that this topic of Brahma Vidya is a very, very subtle topic. Aham Atma Gudakesha Sarva Bhuta Shaya Stitaha Aham Adishya Madhyam Cha Bhutanam Anta Eva Cha. The 10th chapter is Vibhuti Yoga of Gita. In that, the 20th verse says, the first glory of this self, the first glory of the Lord is aham. Aham, in every body there is a aham. I. That I is the first glory of the Lord. That Lord Krishna teaches Arjuna. It is the beginning, it is the middle, it is the end of all beings, means what? From that Atma, core Atma, the entire human beings come and go. So it is Adhisthana. I am the self antaryami in all the body, mind complex in the world. You see, when we look at the world, we see the external world, but we must include our body in it. So body plus the world is nothing but it is material in nature. But what is not material is this consciousness, and it is the seer of the world. It is the knower of the world. Many people ask this question, how did I come to this Vedanta? Even last Saturday, there was a person who said, how did I come into all these classes? It is the self-love which takes you to the study of Atma. We all love ourselves. We may not love the world. We may not love our neighbor. We may not love some of the members of the family. But we all love ourselves. Self-love is common to all human beings. Self-love, not love for something else. I am Atma, Brahma, Asti. This Brahman exists. This Brahman means what? It is an absolute reality beyond which there is nothing. And Atma means what? What I'm comprehending directly without the senses and the mind is called as Atma. That's a definition of Atma. Very important definition of Atma. What I am able to comprehend without the senses and the mind is called as Atma. And that is Swaprakasha, self-effulgent. And it is aparoksham. It is not paroksham, but aparoksham. It is not a distant object. It is me, myself. That is what Mandukya Upanishad is saying. This core essence in me, which is the substratum of the waker, dreamer, and the sleeper, is nothing but it is the substratum of the entire universe. Swaprakasha aparoksha ayam iti Turiyo matam. What is called as adhyatmika, what is paroksha to me? Paroksha to me means it is not me, but it is distant from me. Because of adhyasa and tadatmya, we say it is my eyes. See, we have adhyasa means what? Superimposition. I superimpose the consciousness. I am pure consciousness. I am pure awareness. But in this awareness, I superimpose the body. I superimpose the sense organs. I superimpose the mind. And then I'm saying, I am a waker. So what do I have to do to claim back my consciousness? I just have to drop the wakerhood. The status of being a waker, that is to be dropped. Aparoksha means not what others tell me, not what is known by my eyes or senses or the mind, but it is known to me, and it is Swaprakasham. That is the definition of aparoksham. Aparoksham is a word in Sanskrit which defines Atma as me, myself. To know myself and to know the world. What is the difference? To know the world, I need sense organs. I need the mind. And this I, which I am relating to the body and senses, is a wrong, is an error. That is what the Upanishad tell us. To realize the Atma, I don't need an instrument because it is Swayam Jyoti. For example, we don't have to use anything except jnana. The pure self exists without any upadhi. Upadhi means medium. And without any conditions. It is not that it will only with the sunlight self will be there. No, it exists all the time. And whatever exists all the time is the cause of this entire Jagat, Karanam. In this verse, Vidyaranya asked this question, what is that which can and which is Brahman? Anything which is existing without a medium, ahankaradi dehanat. We have ahankara, the sense of I in the body. This I consists of 17 tattvams. Tattvams means factors. The I which we are saying as I, sometimes we take the I to be the jnana indriyas, which are 5 in number. Sometimes we say this I is related to the karma indriyas. I say I'm walking, I'm holding, I'm grasping, I'm eating. This I is what? It is with reference to the organs of action. So the I, which refers to the sense organs or the organs of action, or prana. Suppose you say, I do pranayama every day. Then what are you referring? You're referring to your inhaling and exhaling process, which is there in the body. So 5 plus 5 plus 5 pranas, this makes it 15. If you have a subtle intellect, you will drop all these three and you'll say, I am the manas, I am the mind. Mind here includes memory, chitta. Still subtler is the buddhi, the intellect. The intellect is the place where ahankara shines. Karta, bhota. That is what is called as ahankara. So the sthula sukshma shariram together is called as ahankara. The sense of I, for all of us, whenever we say, if we don't know what is Atma, we refer to these 17 tattvams as me. But the moment you come to Upanishad, it says, drop this 17 and then ask the question, who are you? Then you will come to the final Pratyekatma, which is the inner self, which is called as Brahman. Pratyekatmeti giyate. Apart from this ahankara, there is an inward essence, a core, a witness, a self, sakshi. Why is it called a witness? Because it doesn't participate with the other material sense organs, mind, or the world. It is asangaha. That is what we learn from the Vedantic Upanishad. Asanga means unattached. So this nature of Atma as being totally unattached from anything which is being experienced is a very important definition of Atma. When we say the self is a sakshi, what it means is self is a witness of the three states of the mind. It is the chit, not chit abhasa. Abhasa means it is a reflection of the chit, which is the waker I, the dreamer I, the sleeper. That which is conscious is also existent. So consciousness and existence are the two sides of one Atma. This Atma is also called as Adhisthana. Adhisthana means substratum. Whenever you say Atma is Adhishtanam, what you mean is the immanent principle. I told you about two principles, immanent and transcendent. When you say it is Sakshi, it is transcendent. When you say it is the substratum, it means it is there in and through everything. Like clay is the substratum for all the pots. Gold is the substratum for all the ornaments which are made of gold. Iron is the substratum for all the products made out of iron. So this Adhishtanam is alone appearing as the product. So the final meaning of Mahavakyam, I am Atma Brahma, means that Swaprakasha, Aparoksha Atma or Sakshi, that is the meaning of I am, this. What does Atma refer to? Atma refers to the transcendental and the immanent factors of Atma. And what does Brahman indicate? Brahman indicates the all-pervasive nature of this Atma. This is how we understand Mahavakya. Okay? Very, very important mantras of Panchadasi, where all the Mahavakyams are put together in one chapter. Let's do the last verse of this chapter, which is the 8th verse.
Drishya sarvasya drishyamaanasya sarvasya jagatastattvamiryate jagatastattvamiryate brahma shabdena tat brahma brahma shabdena tat brahma स्वप्रकाशात्मरूपकम् स्वप्रकाशात्मरूपकम्.
Very beautiful verse again. See the way Vidyaranya puts the meaning of the Mahavakyam, I am Atma Brahma, in his own words. He's trying to reveal this Mahavakya in his own words. What is he saying in this verse? The essence of this entire universe is denoted by the word Brahman. What is Brahman? Essence of the whole universe. What is the essence of this whole body-mind complex? It is Atma. This Atma is that Brahman. That is the equation. And what is the nature of that Brahman? It is Swaprakasha. It is self-luminous. Otherwise, what will happen? After reaching Atma also, people will be saying, what is there after that? No. Brahman is the end product of all what we experience. Brahma Shabdena Kim Irihate. What is Brahman? What is the meaning of this word Brahman? It means I, the individual, and it is the world which we experience. And it is Purna. It is complete. There is nothing beyond this because it is the consciousness factor which is pervading the entire cosmos. Suppose there is no consciousness in the world. Is there any use of the world? No. Suppose it is only a material universe. There is no consciousness. Is there any purpose of the world? No. The purpose comes when there is consciousness in this world. And that reality called as consciousness is the highest. Drishyamanasya sarvasya. Everything else is seen. Drishyam. Drishya viveka. People who have done this Drishya viveka should remember the points regarding Drik, the seer, and Drishyam, the seen. From Akasha, the first creation is Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha or Brahmaji is the same. The Lord who created the sun represents what we call in the normally when we look at the sun, it is a representative of this Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha Tattvam means it is a total mind. Total mind means it is a total of all the Sukshma Sharirams put together is this Hiranyagarbha. And we call that also as Brahmaji. From Akasha to Hiranyagarbha, all have common characteristics, all are pervaded through the mind sense organs, and they are all Drishyam. They are all seen, they are all perceived by the five sense organs. Therefore, the entire objective world is called as Drishyam. Jagat Tattvam iti hiryati. Jagat Tattva means it is a reality. What is the reality? Kutastha. What is not real, which is coming and going, is the Jagat. So Kutastha, or you see, Kutastha is another name for Atma or Turiyam or Brahman. It is another name, Kutastha. Kutastha means really, it is the thing which never changes. Aksharam, indestructible. What changes is not firm or the truth. For example, my thoughts keep on changing. Yesterday I thought something, and today I am thinking something. Tomorrow morning I will be thinking something else. The thoughts are changing, but the light in which I'm seeing the thoughts, that light has remained the same all the time. That light in which, that awareness in which we see our thoughts, our emotions, that light is what is being revealed by the Veda, by these mantras. So the truth of the world alone is a homogeneous existence. There is no change. Homogeneous means changeless. The distinction of the self and the world is meaningless, because the self alone is this world. The existence factor in the world is nothing but belongs to the self. I am the pure self, the pure consciousness, and what the world I see is superimposition on this self. The self is always called as Vyashti or Samashti. Vyashti means the individual, Samashti means the total. Always we divide the world into two parts. One is individual, I, body-mind complex. There is a consciousness in the body-mind complex. There is an existence in this body-mind complex. Body may disappear. I mean, why should we be worried? Because in the sleep state, anyway, I don't experience this body. But am I there in the sleep state or not? That is the question you should ask. And in what form do I exist in sleep state? Is it with body? No. Is it with all the sukshma sharirams? No, because all the jnana indriyas are as good as not there. But what is that form? That form is called as Satchidananda. It is called as the truth. It is called as the reality. The truth of the self is the Atma. The truth of the world is Brahman. See what is the difference between Atma and Brahman comes out very clearly in this I am Atma Brahma definition of Mahavakyam. I am Atma Brahman indicates Akhandata. Akhandata means changeless nature, homogeneous nature. Existence is called as Brahman, Sat. So Tat is equal to Atma or Brahman, or Sat, which is existent, which is self-effulgent. So whenever we talk about the core in us, we always look at it as a consciousness factor. But when we look at in the world outside, we say it is the existence factor. Existence outside, consciousness inside. Sarvasya jagataha tattvam. It is the tattvam. Tattva means the principle on which the entire world depends on. When we transcend space, there is no Brahman outside, no Atman inside. We have transcended space. There is only Swaprakasha Atma. So Atma can never be mixed with anything in this universe. It is always separate. It is Asanga. That is what is called as Purnam Adaha. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. That is the same as what we call it as Atman or Brahman. See, these words, Purnaha, Atma, Brahman, all they mean the one reality. It alone exists is the truth. Taittiriya Upanishad very clearly, beautifully says, Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha anandam brahmane vidwan na bibheti kadachaneti tasyaiva eva sharira atma yak purvasya. One who knows this Atma deep inside his own intellect, he is the one who has got the Brahma Vidya, and he has no more fear at any time. Because he has known the truth which is in his own core self. This akhanda, homogeneous, pure, simple, blissful existence is called as Turiyam in Mandukya Upanishad. Turiyam means the fourth state or fourth experience which we don't know, but which the Upanishads are revealing to us. What is the story of Mahavakya? We have seen the four Mahavakyas. Generally, we say the first Mahavakya is Prajnanam Brahma. This is how a guru will teach a student about Brahman. What will he teach first? First, he will teach what is the nature, what is the lakshanam of this Brahman. Lakshanam means what? It is an indicator. And what is the indicator? Prajnanam Brahma. Consciousness is Brahman. What is consciousness? It is the opposite of inertness. Inertness and consciousness are opposed to each other. So the first Vakyam is called as Lakshana Vakyam. Prajnanam Brahma is what? Lakshana Vakyam. All of you have done the entire four Mahavakyas in this chapter 5. Ultimately, if you have to teach somebody, then what you have to teach is like this. The first mantra you should take is Prajnanam Brahma. It is a lakshanam. It is an indicator of the nature of Atma. What is the second Mahavakya you should teach? The second Mahavakya is Tattvamasi. You are that Brahman. So first the Guru says that Prajnanam, consciousness, is Brahman. So students might be thinking, oh, there is something called as consciousness. Not with me. Somewhere it is there. But the Guru immediately comes and says, the Upadesha Vakyam is Tattvamasi. What is the Upadesha? That Brahman, that unique entity which you are thinking as Prajnanam, is not outside you, but it is you. Tattvamasi. 9 times this Tattvamasi is repeated in Chandogya Upanishad. We will see at the end, maybe next week, or maybe today itself, I don't know, depending on the time. We will see what are those 9 times Tattvamasi is repeated in Chandogya Upanishad. Then the third stage of Mahavakya understanding is Anubhava Vakya. First, the student has learned Prajnanam Brahma. Consciousness is Brahman. Brahman means what? It is me, myself, my real self. Then the second stage is Tattvamasi. You are that. Third stage is Aham Brahmasmi. I am that. Pure consciousness. That is a realization of a student who has contemplated on this truth called consciousness is Brahman, and who has contemplated on Tattvamasi. The last Mahavakyam is Anusandhana Vakyam. or abhyasa shabda vakya. Abhyasa means practice. Nididhyasana. What is that? Again and again, you should say, I am Atma, Brahman. This Atma is Brahman. This Atma is Brahman. This indicates what? Paroksha, aparoksha. It is me. When I say me, does it include the body? No. You have to negate the body, negate the mind, negate the sense organs, and hold on to that pure inner essence. You reflect, you remember the experience of Brahman again and again. That is what is called as nididhyasana. Shravanam, manana, nididhyasana. 3 terms you should never forget. So the self is unknown to the senses and the mind, and all experiences are nothing but Maya. Maya means what? It appears like a magic show. The self is known only from the Shastra as the subject, me. I am that Suprakasha, Aparoksha, Chaitanyam. It is not known through Pratyaksha. It is not known through the eyes, but it is known only because the Upanishad declares it to be my real nature. Now, here are 9 examples of Tattvamasi. In Tattvamasi, see, Tattvamasi comes in Chandogya Upanishad, and it is Samaveda. It is sung. It is a part like Keno Upanishad is also sung. It also belongs to Samaveda. So Tattvamasi in Chandogya Upanishad, the Guru gives 9 examples. Some examples are a little subtle, some are easy to understand. The first example is, I've given you the reference section numbers. Why I'm giving you this attachment to this talk is Tattvamasi is the most important Mahavakyam which which all the Gurus they teach, and it's very, very popular. It comes in Chandogya Upanishad. I want to tell you where it comes. 6th chapter, there are different sections. Section 9, 10, 11, 12, all these sections, they have Mahavakya. Each of this mantra section has got an example. That is the beauty of this Tattvamasi. The Guru tries to explain to the student Uddalaka to Shvetaketu. He teaches the student and says that I will now teach you how that pure consciousness can be known by the intellect through these type of examples. Number 1, whenever you see the bees around a flower, they are collecting the honey, they are collecting the essence from the flowers to make honey. When the flowers are present, they are separate. They are Dvaitam. But when the honey is made, all the essence become one. So similarly, the jiva in the waking state is all many jivas. You are different, I am different, your son is different, your father is different. 7 billion people in the world exist. But when they are sleeping, what happens? All of them, they become homogeneous, one principle, which is called as Atma. That is what is Atma. Don't look around in the waking state. I look out in the world. No, you can't see Atma. But you have to realize that Atma has the inner essence. This is the flower and the bee, one example. Second example. This is a very popular example. Wave, ripple, bubble, water. What is wave? It is a form of water. What is a ripple? Form of water. What is a bubble? Another form of water. All of them, they rise from water, they exist in water, they resolve into water. Similarly, there is consciousness. All the human beings, they rise from consciousness, they exist in consciousness, they resolve into consciousness in the sleep state. Third example, banyan seed. It produces a banyan tree, huge tree. From a small seed, you can see the whole tree. From Satchidananda seed, Atma seed, Brahman seed, you find the entire Jagat coming. Third example, yeah? 3 examples you have seen. Why I'm putting it in a chart form is, it is easy for you to remember. When you want to remember, you want to contemplate, you want to meditate, these are the examples you should take, meditate on them, and you will find that the mind slowly merges into Atma. Fourth example, rivers flow from the north, from the south, from the east and in the west, and ultimately they are poured into the ocean. Ocean is undifferentiated, but the rivers coming from different parts of the country, they are given different names. Narmada, Godavari. Different names are given to different Ganga, Yamuna, Kaveri. These are all different names. But ultimately, where do they all merge? In one ocean. In the ocean, can you differentiate? No. Not possible. Like in the water, you can't differentiate a bubble and a wave and a ripple. Similarly, when the jiva goes to sleep, he goes back to its original condition, which is the Brahman state. Sap, so 4 examples over. We have 5 more to go. Where is the sap in a tree? Is it in the bottom? Is it in the middle? Is it in the top? It is everywhere. The sap, the juice of the tree, which is there, which is the essence of the tree, without which the tree cannot stand. Similarly, consciousness is the juice of all of us. Without that, there is no universe, there is no body-mind complex. That is another example. The next one is a very beautiful example, salt and water. When it is separate, you can easily identify what is salt, what is water. But when they are put together, they become one homogeneous mass. You can't differentiate the salt because it has dissolved in the water. Similarly, all these body-mind complexes, which we see as difference, as Veda Swarupa in the waking state, they all become Abheda Swarupa in the sleep state, in the Atman state. All these examples, if you see, they're all coming back to oneness, oneness, oneness in this universe. Oneness is the reality. Oneness is the truth. That oneness is called as Atma. That oneness is called as Brahman. 9 times the Guru repeats Tatvamasi. In each of these verses, at the end, the Guru will say, Tatvamasi, you are that principle, you are that principle, which is the core of this entire universe. 7th example. In a forest, suppose there is a blind man or a man whose eyes are blinded with a cloth tied. He can't untie the cloth. If he has to find a way outside to go out of the forest, he needs a guru, he needs a guide. Similarly, in the forest of samsara, in the forest of the universe called as samsara, we all require guides, guru who can come and teach us Tattvamasi. You are that, you are that. Special principle. The Veda ultimately teaches us the inner essence, but we need a guru for that. That is exemplified in this 7th mantra, in the 7th serial number. 8th one is slightly subtle. Speech merges in the mind. Mind merges in the prana. Prana merges in the heat of the body. This is the process in which we see death happening. When you observe the process of death, a person who is speaking, he will stop speaking first. His speech will be merged in his mind. He will be thinking, but he cannot speak. After some time, the thoughts also resolve. They resolve where? They resolve into prana. He is no more thinking, no more speaking, but the prana is alive. But the prana also goes, but where does the prana merge? The prana, tattva, merges in the fire element, which is the heat in the body. And finally, where does the heat of the body go? It merges with the earth. That is the example given in Chandogya Upanishad. Very clearly, the subtle process of death is explained. And through the death experience, what is told is ultimately the whole experience of a human being is nothing but resolves into Atma. It rises from Atma. Like every day morning, we get up from sleep and we go back to sleep. Ultimately, we rise from the self, which is the consciousness. We exist during our waking hours, we exist in consciousness, and ultimately, when sleep comes, it is tamoguna, and the tamoguna overcomes the mind, and we go back to our real nature. Last example. This again a subtle example, slightly difficult to understand. Normally, in the olden days, it was believed that when one speaks the truth, one can even touch a hot iron, but he will not get burnt, because his mind is oriented towards satya, the truth. So similarly, when one knows this Atma, he can stand any type of disturbances in life, and you can live as a transmigratory soul, but you will never forget the core Sat principle. This example of the heated axe in this section is trying to prove or trying to help us to understand the pure Sat principle of Atma. Now, these are the verses. I have given you the references before. These are all the references, 6.14.2, 6.15.1, 6.16.1. All these mantras I have given here as notes. You can go through them and you can see them. So all the reference mantras, 9 times Tattvamasi. This is the verse which comes 9 times. That which is the subtlest of all is the self of all this. All this means what? All what you call it as idam, this world. And what is this? What is the essence of this world? It is the self. How beautifully Tattvamasi explains this truth. Shvetaketu is the student. Uddalaka is the teacher. Shwetagothi asks his father, Guru, Sir, can you please teach me again this truth which you are saying? This truth which is so subtle to pick up. Then the father gives another example, another example, another example. Oh Soumya, I will explain to you again. Tatha Soumyeti Hovacha. Again and again, 9 times Tattvamasi comes, and ultimately the truth is realized by the student. The subtle part of the earth becomes the mind. Subtle part of the earth means what? Subtle part of the food which we intake. The subtle part of the water becomes the prana. I mean, this is another scientific truth which comes out from Chandogya Upanishad. And the subtle part of the fire element, the earth element, fire element, and water element, these 3 elements constitute the entire Jagat in Chandogya Upanishad. They talk of 3 elements, not 5 elements. They talk of 3 elements. The other 2 are understood as also there. But the Upanishad focuses on 3. And it says that the food part, that is why what we eat is extremely important for us to know how to control our mind. I've given you the reference mantras here, the 6th chapter, the first section, these mantras, they come. And you can see it when you go through this. And how does the Guru say, how does the Guru conveys this example that the food is very important? The subtle part of the food becomes the mind. How he conveys this? He conducts an experiment. He tells the student and says, don't eat for 15 days, just drink water. For 15 days, 2 weeks, each one can try. What will happen? At the end of 15th day, your mind will lose its complete power to remember things. So if you want to have a good memory, what should you eat? Good food, nourishing food. Because the food makes the mind. That is the essence of this verse here. And I've included that also. Then I've included 1 or 2 verses where it clearly tells us that in the sleep state, we are the self. These are the statements. In 6th chapter, 8th section, 1st mantra, what does it say? Look at this verse. Let me explain to you the concept of deep sleep. When a person is said to be sleeping, he becomes one with Sat existence and he attains his real self. That is why people say about him that he is sleeping to his nature. He is then the real self. That means all of us also, when you accept this verse of Chandogya Upanishad, you will never forget that every time I go to sleep at night, I am one with the self, one with that Brahman. We don't have lack of experience of Brahman, but we have the lack of knowledge about Brahman. That is why in our study of Upanishads, we must again and again pick up that knowledge of the essence in us, which is beyond the sleep state. And it is just given a name called as Brahman. Okay? So these are some of the other references which I have put together. And this completes the Tattvamasi example. I have one more attachment. I don't know. Yeah, I think it should be there in your notes which I have given you. I've given you some analysis of Taittiriya Bhashyam, of a commentary written by Shankaracharya of Taittiriya Upanishad, where Mahavakya analysis is done. slight, fairly interesting one. I'm thinking of taking it next week. Okay, so next week we will try to finish this portion, and if we have time, then we will do some revision of the 4 chapters which we have done so far. We have finished chapter 10, 3, 4, and 5. I have got some notes here, which is not included, which is also there in your notes, but I just accumulated as one folder where you can see a summary of all these 4 chapters. Okay, if time permits, we'll do it. Otherwise, I'm not so sure whether we'll have time. I will do this Mahavakya analysis next week. Next week is the 10th of May. Today is the 3rd. Next week is the 10th of May. Now, I have some travel program again on the 15th of May. And therefore, there will be a short break after this chapter. We have finished chapter 5 now. We have finished 4 chapters of Panchadasi. So there will be a break of about 4 weeks. 15th May to 15th June, I'm not in Singapore. So there will be a break where you can do your own revision of some talks of the past. If you are interested, you can write to me. I will send you all the talks, which everybody has it. You can go to the website or go to YouTube, you'll get it. But if you are interested to get a collection of all these talks of mine, you want to revise some of them, you can write to me. I can send it to you in one folder. It is available. So 15th May to 15th June, there'll be no sessions. Next week, there will be a session next Wednesday. We will have the session. We'll do this Mahavakya analysis of Taittiriya Bhashya. And most probably we'll finish that. The rest of the things is just a summary. If we can't finish it, you can just revise it on your own. With this, I close chapter 5 of Panchadasi. It is over. And we will finish that. With this, I finish today's session on Panchadasi. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudacchade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Anybody has a question?
Hari Om, Sekharji.
Yeah, Venkatesh. Yeah, Hari Om, Venkatesh.
Yeah, it's a very wonderful analysis. Mahavakyam, so fortunate to have this. I really like that finally that sequence of Mahakavya, what you said. I was always wondering why 4 Mahakavyas, why not, what is the significance and all. It has to do with that like shravanam, mananam and nididhyasana, all the way that sequence that has been given.
Yes.
Lakshana and Upadesha, Anubhava and Anusandhana. So which is correlating with the shravanam, mananam and nididhyasana. That's really fantastic actually. This
That's right.
Yeah, it's
it gives you a structured way of understanding the Mahavakya.
yes, it's a very, very highly structured, that whole thing.
Yes.
That's what is so beautiful actually. First understanding what is Brahman and then the Upadesha, somebody has to say that. So the role of Guru, the role of devotee, and finally the nididhyasana, everything has been very structured actually. That whole thing has a significance.
That's correct. Yeah.
The sequence has a very wonderful, so that's very beautiful. That finally that paroksha to aparoksha, the way it has been transcendented, that whole thing. So it's really beautiful. And once again, nice to have that Tattvamasi, that 9 analysis, Chandogya Upanishad, which we have been doing so many times and all. But
Yes.
going through all those Upanishads, particularly after going through Panchadasi, I find something very, very attractive and something more realizing the whole thing actually. I mean, the very concept, and it looks so scientific and so extraordinary, that entire
Yes.
analysis, the way the whole examples and
Yeah,
all.
Vidyaranya is is a great acharya. He's a teacher, great teacher. And,
So very,
the way he has taught Brahma Vidya is very, very unique.
very unique actually.
And very unique, and it requires a lot of patience to understand slowly, go step by step, so that the mind and the intellect, they are gradually drawn towards the self. You see,
very, very smooth way of entry. Like from this heterogeneous world, which is dealing with this external world, and making it relate to the all the three sariras, and bringing it back into the core consciousness, which is homogeneity. And the whole path, he made it very, very, very highly structured actually. That's what,
yes.
very, very systematic.
I found Panchadasi, we have done 4 chapters. All the 4 chapters we have done so far. Each one is unique, and each one in its own way, it takes us to the core of our personality. Every chapter, you see. I will try to do the summary of all the 4 chapters if possible. If not now, next week, maybe when I come back. I will do a summary of all the 4 chapters. I am planning to take the first chapter after all this. Now this is over. We have done 4 chapters. I have the notes ready for the first chapter and the second chapter. Vijaya is helping me with the chanting. There is some work she has to do for the first chapter chanting. So I hope she can complete it when I come back. So hopefully, my view is to go through the first chapter, but not in a very great depth, but it's a big chapter. We'll study that chapter. So that will give us, say, 5 chapters of Panchadasi. Sometime I want to take this group, which is there, is a very advanced group, and sometime I want to take the Bhashya, Shankaracharya's Bhashya. Of the Upanishads. It's something out of the world. It is really, really, Shankaracharya's commentaries on Upanishads. It's something which is amazing. You would never, it takes a lot of time, because these commentaries are not easy to understand, but once you understand it, your intellect will get completely ready to receive that higher knowledge. There are so many intricacies which are involved in Brahma Vidya. We don't understand the intricacies when we do these Upanishads, when we do the Panchadasi and all that. But my experience is with Bhashyam, with commentary of Shankaracharya, if you are able to get a hold of the commentary and listen to it anywhere in the world through any other Acharya, please go ahead. All advanced seekers, in my opinion, should go through at least 2 or 3 Bhashyams.
Mandukya Bhashyam and
Mandukya Bhashyam, Keno Upanishad. Keno Upanishad Bhashyam is brilliant, really brilliant. Because I'm teaching that on Saturday, Keno Upanishad, and I have taken here and there some examples of Keno Upanishad Bhashyam, Shankaracharya's Bhashyam in the Saturday classes, but I have got the notes ready. 2 volumes are ready. Some people have already asked me, I've sent to them, they are already reading it. So the Bhashyam notes, it is difficult to follow, but with a steady mind, slowly you try to understand. there is no reason you will fail to realize your nature as Atma.
Yeah.
See, he has got
Really,
logic. The beauty of Shankaracharya is he is expert of reasoning, logical. The Shruti logic, he understands it beautifully. Not the Tarka logic. Tarka logic is a sign, it is a slightly rustic knowledge, logic. But Shastric reasoning is what you need.
Yeah.
So he is brilliant in that. And second is, he is able to go to the depth of understanding this nature of Brahman. I have not seen anything which can give the real revelation like the Shankaracharya's Bhashya. I mean, especially Keno Upanishad, each one of you should do it. Sometime in your life, please do it.
Yeah.
Keno Upanishad, Shankaracharya's Bhashya. It was
And
only...
Yes.
This is Vishal Gupta.
Yeah, Vishal.
You're a blessing to all of us, and you're a national treasure. Believe me, I am national treasure.
No, don't diss me to
but
such high.
I have this one question. I do understand that the Brahman and the Atma are same, ultimately.
Yeah.
But I'm unable to penetrate, my mind is unable to penetrate a little bit on the difference. Why then two things, why the Brahman and why Atma? Little bit, can you give a little bit more detail on this?
Okay, the difference between the word Brahman and the word Atma, right?
Yeah, I understand that Atma could be individual things and the Brahman is that one principle, the Dvait, but they are the same thing. In a sense, I do understand that. But then, maybe I'm unable to put words into my question, but then why are we talking of the Atma, and how do we differentiate between the Brahman and the Atman?
You see, what happens is this is explained extremely well in Keno Upanishad Bhashyam. See, what as an individual, okay, let us take the example of all of us. Here we are trying to study Veda. Veda is a pramanam. It's a pramanam, means it is like our eyes can see form and color. Veda is seeing Brahman. Veda is seeing Brahman as the core of the universe. And the perspective of Veda on Brahman is something very difficult to understand. The intellect has to drop all its preconceived ideas. So this is beautifully taught by Shankaracharya. So what you are saying is true for many seekers. See, through the books, initially when we study the Upanishads and the Brahma Sutras or the Gita, what we don't realize is the nature of the ultimate truth, the nature of our pure existence, which is untainted by our mind, which is not tainted by any thought. That nature of our own existence is nothing but it is the existence of the whole universe. That is what is the core revelation of all Upanishads, Brahma Sutra and Bhagavad Gita. So when you say, I don't understand Atman and Brahman, which means you have not understood the significance of Mahavakya. What you have to do is go step by step in understanding Atma first. The best example of how you analyze Atma is you take two Upanishads. One is Mandukya Upanishad, which talks about my experiences of three states of the mind, which is waking, dream, and sleep. What you do is, in your own mind, you tell yourself, I am not a waker. I am not a dreamer. I am not a sleeper. Who am I? Let me give the doubt to Upanishad. Whatever the Upanishad says, I'll accept it.
Right.
So what you say is, you tell yourself, I am Atma. You accept it. You say that, okay, I don't believe, I don't want to think about what my intellect is telling me, what my thoughts are going to tell me about myself. Drop it. It is not relevant, because that is, each one can think differently. So thoughts, your own thoughts, don't bring it. So what you say is, whatever is left behind, which is left behind the waker, dreamer, sleeper, that left behind essence is Atma. That Atma, you try to understand that nature perfectly. How do you do it? Try to go through the Upanishadic Vakyams and see what is the nature of Atma described in different Upanishads. Just now I gave you the example of Mandukya Upanishad, na Anta Prajnam, na Bahish Prajnam, and all that.
Right.
What we have to remember is, Vedanta is not giving me a new experience. It is not. It is only telling me that whatever I'm experiencing as I is what the Veda wants to teach me. There is no other new experience which is going to come. So remove the waker in the sleep state, it is Atma. Remove the dreamer in the dream state, it is Atma. Remove the sleeper, waker, and remove the waker in the waking state, it is Atma only. So Atma is always there. It is nididhyasana. It is always there in all the three states. Not only it is the three states, it says that is what is called as my real nature, which means what? Before the body was born, it was Atma, because it is not changing.
And it is eternal. It is eternal beyond time, space, and causality.
Correct. That's right. You see, that must register in your mind. So that changeless phenomena, whatever it is, we call it Atma or Brahman, it is the same essence actually. When you analyze yourself, your own self and your own experiences, when you reach the end of it, we call it Atma. Whenever when we are analyzing the world which is changing, the world which is full of color, which is full of sound, all this world, in all of them, what is common is they are all existing, they are existing, they are existing. Existence is Sat. Existence is Sat means whenever I experience something, there is Sat in it. That Sat is nothing but consciousness. That existence is also nothing but it is consciousness. When I analyze the world, I come to the denominator of Sat. When I analyze the self, the individual, I come to the denominator of Chit. What the Upanishad says is, this Sat is nothing but Chit, and Chit is nothing but Sat. This is the third word. And the third word of Anand, yes. And the third word of Anand, this is how you have to equate the Sat and the Chit principle. And it's very beautifully explained in the Taittiriya Upanishad. You know, the Mahavakyam, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. We're going to do it next week. I know I'm just giving you a preamble of that. How this oneness is brought about. The oneness is a very important factor because you have to, this is what Shankaracharya says in his commentary. Don't end with only your own analysis, but you must end with the analysis of the world also. The world, unless you understand the world, is nothing but it is in your own consciousness. It is there. It is the whole world is rising from your consciousness. It is existing in your consciousness and it dissolves into your consciousness. That is the meaning of the Kaivalya Upanishad mantra, the 19th or 20th mantra, Mayeva Sakalam Jatam, Mayi Sarvam Pratishtitam. Ultimately, Upanishads tell us this truth. What is the truth? It says Brahman alone is the truth. It alone is. It alone exists. It alone exists is the ultimate truth. If you accept that as the truth, you have moksha here and now. That Atma, whatever you have in your intellect or your mind, you have come to some concept of Atma in your own intellect. That you have to hold it as the ultimate truth. All your experiences will still continue. Let it continue, but those experiences, Veda never negates the experiences, but it negates the reality of those experiences.
Understood.
Experiences are not Satyam. Experiences are Mithya. Mithya means appear and go. Dream appears and goes. For example, you had a very bad day in the office. It is gone, finished. Tomorrow morning again something new will come. Our whole life is like that. We are affected by our children's health, children's studies. Again, it is a passing phase. About our health situations, about our family situations, all our appearances. So, with the study of Upanishads, especially with the Shankara Bhashyam, you will not go wrong. I give you a guarantee. Study two Bhashyams of Shankaracharya, Keno Bhashyam, Taitriya Bhashyam, and Mandukya Bhashyam, 3 Bhashyams. You will not go wrong. Finish. You don't have to do anything else. Your whole study, especially advanced seekers who are coming to this class, many of us are still groping in the dark because we have understood certain aspects of Vedanta, but we have not learned how to put it together. Our intellect has to put together the different concepts which are given in different Upanishads, and it has to be brought together.
I am in that stage, sir. I'm in that stage.
Yes, you see that you have to bring it together.
So because we can't imagine the Atman because it's not an object. We can't think of it. In fact, whatever we are thinking of the Atman is wrong. Because it is not an object, you can't think of it. And at some time, the mind has to drop.
Yes. You see, and please take this capsule. The capsule is Bhashyam of Shankaracharya. Study it, let it sink into your mind. There are certain portions of the Bhashyam. When you dwell on that portion, this whole knowledge, it just comes out, that jnanam portion. You see, what is jnanam? Jnanam is nothing but consciousness. You see, we think jnanam in our worldly way, but that is not jnanam, Brahma Vidya. Brahma Vidya is a unique jnanam. It is a unique subject matter. Because it is very unique. It is nothing to do with our normal knowledge of the world, of objects and,
that is information.
That is all,
information.
These are all, correct. But this is a knowledge of the core of the creation. And Upanishads have the magic formula to bring out this knowledge. And it has, when you go through through in the depth, when you go through it, your intellect will accept the truth as the truth. And then when that happens, you will say that, there is nothing beyond except this truth. And it should sink into your mind, and a day will come, you will be fulfilled in life, and you say, Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Napara. That is the ultimate sentence your own intellect has to tell yourself. That truth which the Veda is revealing is the ultimate truth, and I can hold on to that truth and live in the world. That's all. Continuously live in the world of experiences. You can't escape experiences. It will come, it will go. Nobody can get away from experiences. Each one have their own experiences. Wherever you're located, it is coming and going, coming and going. Okay, I'm sorry, I took a long time to explain to you, but you took my mind away to a different
Thank you
word.
so much. Thank you so much. I mean, it has really been fruitful.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else has a question?
No questions, sir. But
Gita, yes, thank you.
but Mahavakya Viveka, how
Yes.
it is penetrating to the mind.
Yes, it's good.
Yeah,
It has to sink in, you have learned, you have heard it. Let it remember whatever you can, a little bit here and there, and then let it sink slowly.
What I am doing, I am repeatedly hearing the class, repeatedly reading that. I don't know. I cannot get myself out of that. I cannot. I am repeating.
That's
Yes.
correct.
That also. I am hearing maybe for first 3 slokas. Maybe I have heard by this time maybe 5-6 times.
Yes.
But again, it is calling me back. Come, remain me.
Yes. You see,
Yeah, it is very nice experience. I cannot explain, but I am experiencing that bliss, that happiness. What I am getting.
Very good. That is how the seekers who have realized explain exactly the way you are explaining. That is the joy which you get.
Yeah.
Of going back. You love the Atma. See, each one of us love our own self. We have infinite love for ourselves. Infinite love.
Yes.
We love our own self the most. And then we love others. You see, this is beautifully brought out in Taittiriya Upanishad. Our love for the self is the highest. And that love for the self brings us again and again to this study.
That oneness.
Yes,
it is bringing that oneness.
That's correct.
In everywhere, in everything, in the way of talking, in what we, I am sometimes speechless. Sometimes my eyes are flowing like a river. I don't know. Yeah.
Each one's experience is different. I'm very happy to hear your own experience. I'm sure everybody here has their own way of expressing it. Thank you, Ajita. Thank you.
Hari Om, sir.
Hari Om. Anybody else? Okay, so we will end today and we'll continue next week on the 10th. Thank you and good night.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Thank you.
Thank you.